Let's start our math mock lesson. Let's first look at the question 1. Do anyone remember what the binomial theorem is? Yes, thank you, Peter. According to the binomial theorem, we can get this equation. We can calculate the result from k equal to 0 to k equal to 5. And then we combine the real and imaginary parts together, and we can get this equation, which is the answer to the first question. And for the second question, asks us to use the De Moivre theorem, and we know that, and according to this theorem, we can get this equation. And comparing the imaginary parts, we get this, and so we can prove the second part. And for the remaining questions, I will send you guys the answers directly, and you can go through those steps. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask me after class. And then we will talk about question 2. And for the first question, we want to find the derivative of y with respect to x. Can anyone remember the product rule? Yes, correct. Let's review the product rule first. And we can get 3x plus 1 times exponential of 3x. And the part B is prove this equation by induction. And we should firstly try n is equal to 1. And then the second part is the inductive hypothesis. We assume that n equals to k. So the formula looks like this. And the third part is the inductive step. We prove for n is equal to k plus 1. After applying the product rule, we can get the k plus 1 times, we can get this equation. This matches the required formula for n is equal to k plus 1. So we're completing this inductive proof. And to find the local extrema, we should set the derivative of y with respect to x equals to 0. And since the exponential of 3x is not equal to 0, we can solving 3x plus 1 is equal to 0, and then x is equal to minus 1 over 3. And don't forget, we should also determine this extrema is maxima or minima. So we should use the second derivative test. So the second derivative of y with respect to x is equal to the derivative with respect to x of exponential of 3x plus 3x times the exponential of 3x. So since we can get the second derivative of y with respect to x is bigger than 0, so we know the x is we know the minus 1 over 3 is the local minima. And we can also find the y coordinate. So the local minima should be this one. And for the local maxima, we should know that there is no local maxima since the yx will approach infinity as x approaches infinity. To find the inflection, we should know that an inflection point is defined as a point on the curve in which the concavity changes. So we know that inflection points occurs when the second derivative of y with respect to x is equal to 0. So we can get the x equals to minus 2 over 3. We should also use the third derivative test. And since when x is equal to minus 2 over 3, the third derivative is not equal to 0. So an inflection point exists at this coordinate. And the final question is to sketch the graph. Since we have already know the intercepts, local minima, inflection point, and asymptotic behavior, we can draw the graph according to this main information. So that's all the questions for today. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to ask me after class. Thank you very much.